everybody has thought about quitting at any point in time. I want to quit at least once a week.
You ever wonder how some contractors just seem to get more work done in the same 24 hours you have? Well, I'm here to tell you it's because they have the right equipment for the job. So if you're a contractor and you're looking for ways to improve your efficiencies, get your work done faster, and make your customers happy, head over to skidsteernation.com and check out all of our high-quality American-made attachments. A lot of these attachments will reduce the amount of work you actually have to do on the job site. Invest in the right equipment today and make your business flourish. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Skid Steer Nation podcast. Your host, Ryan Deemer, here today. And today we're going to dig into the story of a man. He's kind of a reshaped business for himself very, very quickly. He's got a thing he wants to talk about today called vertical integration, which I'm excited to dig into. Former U.S. Army, another part of the story I'm excited to talk about, worked in military aerospace maintenance, traded it all in, and launched Crooked Creek Land Development in 2028. Starting with an old beat-up Toyota skid steer, he has now grown into a multi-million-dollar business. Kai, thanks for joining us today and coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Ron.
Yeah, I'm excited to meet with you, hear your story, and get some insights from you on the industry. So you're down, where are you exactly in Florida?
I'm in a small town called Carabel, Florida, what we call the Forgotten Coast in Franklin County, Florida. Basically Tallahassee and South Georgia's beach. We're about an hour and a half south of Tallahassee, right there on the coast.
Okay. Yeah. How does a California kid end up in Florida?
Well, when I was 19, I joined the Army. I enlisted as a private at the time, as a aircraft maintainer. I was a structural mechanic for helicopters. I graduated top of my class. And then I was sent to Fort Bragg, North Carolina with the 82nd Airborne. I worked on OH-58 Kiowa scout attack helicopters. After that, I assessed and I went to 160th SOAR Special Operations Group, which is an aviation group that specializes on basically dealing with special forces groups across the world. I learned a lot of stuff there. We worked on minor tasks all the way up to rebuilding helicopters from the ground up. After I got out of that, everything was real stressful. We were very, understaffed. It didn't seem like the experience was coming back into the regiment. I was working a lot, and I decided to get out. I felt like I had some other things that were working for me. I had started a diesel part business while I was in, and I made some good money like that. I still do it today. I basically deal with fuel injection parts and as a wholesaler. And after I got out, I went to Croatia. I got an offer on a job to go to Croatia to be a structural maintenance rep over there for the Kiowas that we gave to the Croatian Air Force during that time as a NATO mission. And they're using them today. That was a great time, learned a lot of stuff. And then I moved. After that was done, I decided to come over here to Carabel. I wasn't really quite sure what I wanted to do, but I knew I was kind of done with aviation. I wanted to kind of move on to investing in myself and real estate and trying to figure out how to take nothing and turn it into something that I could hopefully retire by 35 at, which I'm almost there. So I'm getting close, but hopefully I may decide to keep going. I may reach my goal at 35, but we'll see.
I'll tell you what, Kai, not to cut you off, but the idea of retirement sounds so good when you're working and when you're young. Mm-hmm. But the thought of retirement for me today scares the shit out of me, because if you're not doing something, you're dying.
I agree. I don't think I can retire. I have a hard time taking time off, which I think is something that I'm really trying to learn now that I'm getting to a point where I maybe can take time off. I have more money, although my business is very demanding of me. And my customers are even more demanding of me, but more so my dedication to my customers so that I don't hold up their projects disappoint them or make my business falter or look bad. My business is everything to me. It's my hobby. It's my passion. And ultimately, it's my identity. And the Army was my identity back in the day. And now my identity is Crooked Creek Land Development and CCM Septic Service and all the different things that I do in life. And I honestly feel like as a man, you are what you do. And that's not always the case. I think you can always define yourself however you want to do it. But that's how I define myself, is what I do.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at with it, you know.
That's awesome. I mean, all that time in the military, and I'm assuming the advancement, the higher the level of going from a basic, forgive me, I'm not in the military. But starting at the basic level, then ending with the guys that are rocking out airborne special forces, I'm assuming even on the mechanical back end side, that's an improvement, or do you like extra clearance based on?
Yeah. So I think it was a requirement. We had to have a top secret clearance. I can't really talk too much about it. You know, we can talk a little bit about it, but for the most part, what we did was super important. You know, we supported regular Army, special forces. We did everything. And if our aircraft are down, that means that somebody is not getting exfiltrated. They're not getting the gun support they're getting. And if we make mistakes, that's our guys, it's our friends up there that are flying. And then also not only that, but the people that they're transporting and then the entire mission. So when I went to special operations, that was definitely, there was a lot more pressure involved when I got there, because our mission was so important. We had a motto, you know, plus or minus 30 seconds is what we had to be there, plus or minus 30 seconds, no matter what we did. And there was no fail missions. We just had to get it done. Didn't matter how long we worked. It just didn't matter. We just had to get it done, you know?
Yeah.
And I still do that today. Do that today when it comes to my business, you know?
I was going to ask you that. How many of those lessons from the Army carry over that you use every daily basis?
A lot. You know, one of the other mottos we had was Night Stalkers don't quit. And I tell you what, if there's anybody that's watching this, I'm sure everybody has thought about quitting at any point in time. I want to quit at least once a week. But I'm not going to, you know. Excavator breaks, blow a hydraulic pump, or the conveyor's not working, or I rip a belt, I got a $5,000 repair here, or I need a new undercarriage on this, or I blow a hydraulic hose, or I bust a water pipe, or, you know, it doesn't really matter. There's always something that's going wrong in this business, especially, and it's a pretty standard rule of life that if you're dealing with mechanical stuff, you're going to have problems. And the more and more mechanical stuff you have, the more and more problems you have. So
and the bigger the mechanical machinery, the bigger the problems.
Absolutely. And the more expensive the problems.
Yeah. All those guys talking about wanting to get into they keep talking about getting like the big D7s and the massive excavators. And like everything else is more expensive also.
Go price an undercarriage for a D7 and come back and think that you're really happy about it. And, you know, the number's going to, you know, I think, you know, a lot of people want to buy equipment, but they don't break down the numbers, you know. You got to find out what other people are doing stuff for. And I'm naturally the more expensive person in my area. Sometimes I'm double, sometimes I'm triple. I don't get every single bid, but I'm always the last one they call, because if something got messed up, they call me back in to fix it. But, you know, the main thing, charge your worth, and you need to make that make sense in the equipment that you buy. I mean, I have a couple other tactics of why. I only keep 3 employees, but I have 4 60,000-pound excavators. I got probably 3 more smaller excavators. I got 2 skid steers, off-road dump trucks. I got crushers, screeners. I got a big tub grinder, all kinds of stuff. I can't run it all at the same time, but it's about how many jobs can you type at one time. And if all you have to do is hop in a pickup truck and go drive to that machine, you can go level an acre in an hour with a bigger machine rather than being there for 2 weeks with a smaller one. and then your truck driver's just coming and cleaning up. Your excavator's gonna have to sit there for a week and a half to clean up debris, even though it only took you an hour to take it down. So, and the only reason I can afford that and the amount of equipment that I have, which I buy primarily brand new John Deere equipment, is because I'm constantly bouncing back and forth between my equipment and keeping things rolling. I kind of, at the end of the month, I wrap up all my projects, and I don't really collect a whole lot of money until the end of the month. And the equipment stays low hour when you do it like that, and it also gets paid off. So by the time 5 years rolls around, which is probably the standard equipment payment, you got low hours on the machine. You can go ahead and trade it in, make some good money, and then you're on the upside next time you go. So, yeah. But that, you got to crunch all those numbers. If you're out there doing mulching for $100 an hour and you got a brand new machine, you're not factoring in maintenance, fuel, all that kind of stuff, you're just going into a hole. You got to be real careful.
I always talk to guys and I was like, charge your value.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you said so, charge your worth, and I feel like that gets tossed around the industry a lot, and younger guys especially that don't have a lot of experience, like they're still pulling the number out of the air what they think their worth is.
Exactly. And I don't think there is any standard, though. I feel like you need to balance your time with, how busy are you to how much money you're making. I mean, I think the rates change constantly. I know the rates have gone down with the economy going up. I try to keep everything. I know where I need to be, but I have came down a little bit. But now where everything's going back up, and if I'm really busy, I might charge a little bit more. I don't have specific hourly rates. I charge by the job. I think cleaner. I don't take any money from customers up front. I collect money from when they're done. And they're happy. And I don't get a whole lot of pressure from my customers because of that. And I feel like that garners some sort of more trust between me and my customers.
Are you doing are you doing more work with residential customers or with other contractors or commercial projects?
So I do mostly with homeowners and residential customers. Okay. We do some government stuff. Like we're working on a big airport project at the Apalachicola Airport, rebuilding their fuel farm. We work with some general contractors. I'm not a huge fan of working with general contractors. I feel like those are usually the ones that beat you up on the price the most, and they're also the toughest to work for. I really do enjoy working with residential customers. I think I get a lot of owner builders. You get people that are building a house from nothing by just managing their own subcontractors. And then you get other people that are just kind of trying to improve their home that they already have. And we do approximately, I don't know, we're probably $2 million in sales this year, just running it like that with 4 guys. So 4 guys total, that's including me. And it works. I'd like to transition into some bigger government stuff, but I haven't gotten to a point where I feel like I can break away from what I'm doing now to do that.
No, the reason I asked was just when you're talking about not getting paid to the end of the month, I was like, I wonder if people listening understand. I assumed you're talking commercial projects. That's why I wanted to clarify with you. No,
so yeah, I get paid when I'm done, and sometimes I'm waiting on checks from residential customers. But I do have some. So I do have some contractors pay me on net 30, but typically I keep a bunch of jobs going at the same time, and then when I see that I need to start collecting some money, I go ahead and rush out there and get them finished. I keep probably about 10 jobs in various stages of completeness throughout the month, and then knock them out. And sometimes if we jump on smaller projects that may only take an hour or 2 hours here, what I like to call targets of opportunity, and it works. It's not for everybody. Some people would probably want something a little bit more regimented, but I've learned that the chaos of equipment in trucks, especially trucks, if you don't own any trucks in this industry, you'll find out when you own trucks that you cannot plan for hardly anything. because there's always something that's wrong, and it changes your entire schedule. You could blow a tire and it takes out half the day, or you back over something, or your driver's moving a little slow, or your driver can't come in that day. It holds up everything. I mean, you'd run yourself crazy trying to manage an hour by hour plan with anything that has to do with trucks. And I can tell you, if you're not into that kind of stuff, I probably wouldn't suggest going into the bigger stuff. If you can get away with hiring out trucks, I would suggest it. I can't. I have too much going on where I can't have my own trucks,
Yeah. I have guys ask me all the time, like, should I buy a dump truck or buy a big haul? I'm like, not until the end. I'm like, don't make it your second equipment purchase. Don't make it your third equipment purchase. Hire it out.
My problem is I would kind of call my area kind of like a pioneer area. We have nothing. There's no resources. There's everything that I need. I pretty much have to either do myself or make. And because there's no trucks to hire, the nearest limestone mine, which is what we use for road base and all that kind of stuff, is an hour and a half away. I have my own mine. I deal with my own dirt. We screen our own topsoil. We recycle everything. I mean, everything we have, we recycle into a product that we can make to sell to customers that we can use on our own jobs. I got into trucking because I physically could not haul off my debris and move my dirt efficiently to where I can make any money. I was, the guys I could hire, they were unreliable, which I have a great sub who maybe I'll refer to you. You can talk to him about his journey, but he's the trucking is so expensive. It's so expensive, and it's so time consuming. It's hard to find CDL drivers these days. And they're just a pain. And I can tell you, if I could tell you anything about trucks and my philosophy on equipment and trucks in general, it's buy old trucks and new equipment, and you will have a lot better time. If you buy new trucks, they break just as often as old trucks, and you have all the emissions to deal with. You have the repair costs are more. Only the dealership can mess with all the software and all that kind of stuff. If you can get pre-emissions trucks, that's the way to go. Now, when it comes to equipment, old equipment breaks really hard, and it's really expensive to fix. If you have new equipment that's under warranty, then you can not worry about parts for the most part. You might have to pay a little bit of maintenance. But for the most part, my opinion is hold on to new equipment for 3 to 4 years, or really until you start having problems, and trade it in. You'll be up on the equity to go into new equipment. If you're lucky to get into equipment like I did during, pre-COVID and all that kind of stuff, you got in a really good deal, everything appreciated in value on the upside. If you're buying now, golly, I mean, I priced some new equipment recently and it made me cry almost, So, my newest 210, I paid almost $300,000 for, whereas the first one I ever bought was $220,000 for basically the same package. I priced a 333 P. No, I think it was a 333 G, and the last of the stock they have, skid steer. The payment was $2,000 a month now, where my first 333, I think was $1,400 a month. It's gone way up, and I wouldn't say that the rates of what we're getting paid have gone up either. So
not that much.
No, they really haven't. And in some cases, it's gotten way more competitive. I mean, I remember during COVID, everybody was rushing out to go buy machines. I mean, you're buying it at 0 to 2% interest. Now you're buying them at like 5-6% interest. So the payments are just going through the roof, and you're paying most of it towards interest.
Right.
So if you're in a good position, don't rush out there to go sell your piece of equipment to go get a new one. You gotta weigh the options. Is it costing me money to run this thing, to fix it, all this kind of stuff? If it is, you might want to consider trading it in. If it's not, you gotta make that decision, because once you cross a certain threshold of hours, you just start going way down in value.
Yeah,
and it's a balancing act. That's why you wonder why all these big companies, you're either leasing or they're just constantly trading in equipment that there's nothing wrong with it. They're playing the game, and the tax liabilities, they're doing it for tax reasons too.
And I was just going to say that too, because a lot of those larger companies got somebody in the office that's doing the calculations on depreciation, the tax incentives, write-offs, and they're building that into the estimates of how long that equipment's going to stay on the property. Where the smaller guys, we're not as versed. We don't have the knowledge on the taxing and all that. And we just got to find somebody or seek somebody out to help us with that, because it does play a huge role into when to replace equipment.
Oh yeah, for sure. And if you're looking for a business that you can reduce your tax liability by a lot, this is the business to do it. I mean, you can spend your money on equipment all day long, and preferably not on repairs. But, I buy a lot of used equipment. I sell used equipment. I might buy a piece of equipment, use it for a job, sell it. I do a lot of trading back and forth, different types of things. You never know what you're going to use, what you're not going to use. I've bought things that I just thought were good deals that I ended up using for a while, and I ended up getting rid of them. Attachments are a big thing. I got a ton of attachments. I don't even really use them all. I made attachments, things that you would never think would work great. My favorite thing is my ginormous Grademaster grade blade that I bought at a county auction that I converted to a skid steer. That thing, you'd be surprised what you could buy and get creative with it and use to make a lot of money with and make a good product.
Yeah. Yeah. I always thought attachments were like tennis shoes, man. Like, just because you got 6 pairs doesn't mean you don't want the 7th.
Yeah, exactly. I think you can't ever own too many attachments. I mean, you're never going to replace a good bucket. A good bucket is always numero uno. Don't forget to check your cutting edges. You'd be surprised how important a good cutting edge is on a bucket, and honestly, having the right bucket for your machine. I've seen people put buckets on machines that weren't built for that machine, and it's hard to grade with,
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of really my favorite attachment. It's probably got to be that grade blade. But I've owned quite a few. Mulchers, man. Oh my gosh, I learned that lesson a long time ago. I do not mess with drum mulchers. You want to torch a skid steer in a heartbeat? Drum mulcher. But if you like brush cutters, if one of that disc mulcher, oh my gosh, your machine will last forever on a disc mulcher.
Those disc mulchers are awesome too.
Have you noticed that like a drum mulcher kind of like powderizes the wood, whereas a disc mulcher kind of like wood chips it to where it's not throwing fine dust all over? Well, I burned my first skid steer to the ground. Almost burned it to the ground. I ended up trading it in after. Luckily, I put it out in time. But running a drum mulcher, because the fines get all up in the hydraulic cooler and on the and just make a burnable tinder. But we run disc mulchers now, and we don't really even have to blow them out that much. I don't do a whole lot of mulching, but we do it here and there for certain things. But I'm really happy with my disc mulcher. It's got a Bradco, works good.
My buddy down the road, he's got a diamond disc mulcher.
Yeah, diamond work good. Those look nice too. The one I have has a big swinging axe heads on them.
Mm-hmm.
I've had the same axe heads on it for like 4 years, and you just keep sharpening them. You don't have to replace any. I was going through teeth on a drum mulcher like it was going out of style. And you go hit like a block or something, and you break like 4 or 5 at one time and get all mad, But
oh, absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. But, so you have a variety of projects. You're running multiple job sites. May not have crew at them because you've only got limited crew, and you're bouncing from job to job. What determines what days you spend on what job sites? Is it the weather, location? Like how does your mind think through that?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's not something I can really pin down. That's definitely like, I'm pretty good at prioritizing things. I think it's more of like a priority list rather than a internal priority list rather than a set schedule. And don't get me wrong, things get past me sometimes, and I have to break away. Somebody's always constantly, I'm always constantly putting somebody off slightly, but, for the most part, everybody understands. And I haven't taken any money from anybody until I'm done. So I think that's the biggest thing is if you ever take money from somebody and you're late, the immediate thing that I would think as if I was a customer, is he coming back? Is he going to do the job? Did he steal my money? And then they just start freaking out. And you get even some people that are even worse than others. They just completely start freaking out and things just go worse and worse. I have never taken money for that reason, because it just, if anybody asks, hey, where are you at? Are you coming back? I'm like, yeah, I got tied up with something. But don't worry, my equipment's there, or, you haven't paid me anything yet. We're still rocking and rolling on it. And nobody ever freaks out. Everybody's always really calm and collected, because worst comes worst, they don't show up, and, they got thousands and thousands of dollars free work out of me. I didn't bill them. So, I would say it's more of a priority list. Something's always coming up. I cannot plan it. I battle a constant issue every single day that throws a complete wrench in my plans. I would say that my plans change hour by hour, every day. So, I just focus on pushing the line every single day, making progress, and keeping balance, making sure that the counts stay, up. I'm not putting off something that would cause issues down the road. Don't ever try to plan for weather, especially if you're in Florida. I mean, it'll tell you it's going to rain all day and it won't rain at all. It can tell you it's not going to rain and then it rains all day. It can tell you it's going to rain this weekend and never rain. I just, I gave up trying to work around the weather a long time ago. And oftentimes we work through rain. I just figure out what I can do during the rain. And a lot of the time that's sitting on an excavator at our facility, dealing with tree debris, stacking debris, or crushing, or whatever we need to do to make that maybe getting neglected on the backside, or I try to work on sand ridges. If I can work on a sand ridge that doesn't care about rain and I can clear all day, I don't have to worry about mud or standing water or anything like that, that's also a good use of my time,
So wait, let me get this right. You've got yourself and 3 full-time employees.
Mm-hmm.
And you told me, I think just off this conversation, I heard that there's somewhere around like 7 excavators in the fleet.
I'd have to go count them.
But
there's
right.
there's a bunch of them. Yeah.
But at least there's more than 2 excavators per employee.
Yes.
We've got a mine. We've got a recycling processing center.
Yep.
And like, you're running all of that with just the 4 of you, or do you have a dedicated employee for the mine and the processing center?
No, we bounce around. Like I said, the facility doesn't get much attention. Like, for example, and if anybody's ever thinking about it, screening is a great business. If you can get into screening the materials that you got paid to haul off from somewhere else, you can make oodles of money as long as it's good product. For example, I bought an old trommel screen for like $30,000, I think. I had to put some work into it, whatever. But it's always constant repairs, something. But especially bearings, I'd say bearings are probably the most thing. Wait till you see this thing. If I ever send you a picture of it, you'll understand. But it makes oodles of money. I mean, we sell a load of topsoil for $600, but this is like the best stuff that you can see. I mean, and we're working on maybe selling this as hydric soil, which, if you're not familiar with like wetlands and especially not South Florida, but in Florida in general, we have this thing called hydric soil, which is what determines what a wetland is, which are protected in the state. You get people, we do a lot of wetland restoration because people go out there and fill wetlands illegally, and we get paid to come in there and dig out all the fill. We sell the fill, and then, they have to restore the wetland. Well, the stuff that we make artificially would meet the criteria of hydric soil, which is basically a highly organic soil that's made up of mostly broken down organic material. So think extremely broken down compost is basically what I would call it. Thousands and thousands of years of broken down bioorganic matter that turns into this powdery black substance that will absorb in water, and you have maybe 20% sand, 80% organic matter. It just looks like really black muck if you get it wet. And that's And we make that artificially by taking topsoil layers with heavy root matter and wood chips that we make from our wood grindings, and we put them in these massive piles, and we let them aerobically break down and create this really nutritious soil that we can then turn around and screen and sell as topsoil or compost topsoil type mix. People use it for all different types of stuff. But we mainly use it in our hydroseeding operations because we do hydroseeding as well, where we'll actually put out topsoil and then we'll hydroseed over it. And if you don't mind me moving the camera, I'm actually sitting on a job site that we just put some out, and you can actually kind of see the material that I'm talking about. If you'd like me to show it to you.
Let's do it, man. Yeah.
Okay. Give me a second.
Let's do it.
Here. All right. So here.
Well, we're having a little bit of connection issue.
Hopefully, job site here. Oh, yeah, got it. Here you go. You got me?
Yeah, I got you. You're just breaking up a little bit here and there, but you're all right.
All right, here. All right, we're at this job site right here. We're at this customer's house. And see this soil right here? It's kind of dry right now, but this is the standard sand that we're covering up. It just doesn't grow grass. Okay, it's just sand, really granular sand. And this is the topsoil that we make.
Okay.
And it's just this really
for all you guys listening out there, you know the struggles of self-service on job sites.
Maybe 20%. Oh man, we're getting bad service here. Is that what's going on?
A little here, a little there. It's kind of cutting in and out.
Okay.
But all good.
Okay.
So you're making the topsoil.
I'm back.
Anyways, so you're making the topsoil.
We're making topsoil out of our. Yep.
You're selling it to your customers, getting paid to level it, and then you're coming in and hydro seeding over top of it.
Yeah.
Man. So Kai, there's two things. Like I like your motto. Oh, we got a bad connection again here. Hold on. Yeah, try that again, Kai.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Hello?
Yep.
Okay, I think we're good.
Yeah. So like I was saying, you're making the topsoil, you're getting paid to deliver it, spread it, selling it back to the customer, and then you're hydro seeding over top of it. I think I love what you're doing because you're taking jobs that you normally do and you're finding ways to extract more profit from them. So many guys leave so much money on the table that without the recycling of the material or finding a way to take material and provide it for themselves. And the hydro seeding, like anyone that does dirt services, you can pick up an old beat up hydro seeding setup and do some repairs on it for really, really cheap. And they make we did the numbers on these with a couple clients of ours in our consulting business, and I about fell on the floor laughing at how much money you can make shooting 6 acres.
Oh yeah, if you can get a customer to pay you for 6 acres. Now, I'll tell you, hydro seeding was a learning curve on its own. I bought an old hydro seeder for $4,000 back in the day. It came with 2 pallets of mulch, a bunch of seed, all that kind of stuff. I did some tests on my own stuff and got it to grow pretty well, but you got to be prepared to stand by your product. If it doesn't grow, you got to go deal with it. If it gets washed out, you got to go deal with it. I mean, I could say right now that if you let hydro seeding go unchecked, it will damage your reputation in this business. I mean, you got to know what you're doing. If you don't know, and there's a lot to it. There really is a lot to knowing about hydro seeding in general. And all kinds of different things. And when it comes to dirt, guys, make sure what you're doing with the dirt, you're not getting too in depth, in things that you're not really quite sure about, like foundation stuff. Make sure the dirt is right. Make sure you know about compaction. Make sure a little hand packer ain't gonna cut it. You need to make sure that you're getting compaction tests done. You're making sure that the soil quality is good, and you know what you're doing there. You can get in hot water otherwise, but if you just kind of take it little bit by little bit, you'll you'll learn quite a lot in this business. I didn't know about any of this stuff when I got first started, but I learned a lot of it working on my own personal development projects when I was building my rentals and working on all my other stuff, and some customers that just say, "Hey, I'd rather see you try this. Go ahead and try it."
And in the grand scheme of life, like, you're still pretty young in business. This is what, your 6th year in the excavation industry?
Yep, and I'm 31, so still rather young, to be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. I think it's funny because if we look backwards, it feels like yesterday. It probably feels like yesterday that you were enlisting in the Army. But if you think about the things that you want tomorrow or in 10 years from now, they seem like a lifetime away.
I think it's important, this is my own personal philosophy. I think it's important to live in the moment and not really worry about what happened in the past or what's going on in the future. Because I'm being honest, Brian, I had no clue I'd be where I'm at, where I'm doing what I'm doing right now. And it just kind of organically happened by just constantly going out and trying to do better. And just kind of following my passions and what I thought was interesting at the time. I'm constantly just going after whatever I think is interesting or maybe even profitable. And I know we talked about getting into what we call vertical integration, but that's really what drives me into where I'm going now. And if anybody's not familiar with what vertical integration is creating a series of processes that feed off of, rely, and profit off the other processes in the stream. So, for example, I started in this business because I want to build homes. I want to be a large developer. I want to sell homes. That's what I want to do. But build them as well, and all series of development. The cheapest area. I started in trees. I started in residential trees and learning how to cut trees in tight spaces over homes. I had small fleet of bucket trucks, chippers, and a skid steer and a dump trailer is really how I got started. And I learned a lot. I mean, I could cut a tree and I could fell it in the tightest places. We even take little bets on where the top of the tree is going to fall, and I'm pretty much always right on it. So I learned trees. I earned the money. I bought a 40-acre parcel for a really good price at the time to deal with my tree debris. But I knew that I needed dirt. I needed all kinds of stuff that I needed to do. I bought my first excavator, started selling dirt, different projects, land clearing, less residential tree work, and then I had to figure out what I was going to do with my debris. If people aren't familiar, you're not supposed to just, at least in the state of Florida, I don't know about other places, but you're not allowed to just take your tree debris and take it anywhere you want. And you're not allowed to usually, especially if in a residential area, just pile it up and burn it. But you definitely can't take it from one location to another location and burn it. You have to have a solid waste operating permit. So, like, we have a DEP operating ability, but there we have to process it in a certain time period in a certain way. Now, there's only a couple ways to do it, especially where I'm at, where we're really close to the groundwater. There are certain areas of the state where you can probably get away with digging all the sand out and then putting the tree debris in it and covering it up, and they'll allow that. It's like a landfill. But here where I'm at, we're in the water table. We can't do that. So we have to pile it up and we have to grind it. So we have a Diamond Z tub grinder that we grind all of our tree waste into mulch. And then we make soils out of that by letting it anaerobically break down in compost, and then we can screen it again. Now, the other option is you can run a air curtain incinerator. Often an air curtain incinerator is going to be a long snout with basically a giant fan in it that blows air through this 40-foot snout or however long it is down into a 40-foot pit or whatever length pit the snout on the air curtain incinerator is, and it creates an air curtain on the inside of this pit. So you go ahead and start a fire, you kick on the air curtain, it superheats the fire and it burns it off in clean emissions. You're allowed to do that if you have the right permit through DEP to do that, or FDEP. And we're talking Florida here. Well, we're in the water table, so we can't dig a pit and throw tree debris in it because it's not going to burn. It's going to be in water. So you have to have an above ground one, which should be like almost like a shipping container, basically, with an air curtain that does it, and you have to scrape all the ashes out. It's kind of a pain. We haven't gotten into air curtain incinerating because there's no product. I mean, you could probably make some sort of ash. I'm sure we could figure out how to make some sort of compostable material out of it, but I haven't explored that yet. So we grind ours. So we got into grinding, in the vertical integration. I had to deal with my waste, so I got into grinding. Well, because I'm gotten to grinding, I have all these wood chips now. What do I do with all these wood chips? I just spent 37 gallons an hour of diesel to grind this tree waste. I got to make my money back somehow. Well, I can't sell my wood chips because the nearest chip mill, which takes wood chips and burns them as fuel for these massive, like either power plants or lumber mills or whatever they're doing. There's all these different massive facilities that may be using furnaces to power their entire place. Well, I don't have any near me where it makes sense to go take it there, because by the time you truck it there, you lost all your money in trucking. So I had to figure out how to make money on my waste. And that came in the form of soils and letting the stuff break down into essentially compost and topsoil, and then screening it and selling it, and then letting the stuff that's screened off of it break down further, go back into the piles, and then break down further, and then can be turned into soil later. We've also sold logs. We've tried the sawmill thing. I have people that do get logs from me all the time. We do also sell all of our marketable timbers to the sawmill. So we sell all of we got that got us into logging. We got logging trailers. Now we do logging stuff. And I'm not afraid to go out there and timber land. So that's another vertical integration aspect. But I think people can kind of understand where I'm going with this. If you can make money by just adding a small component to what you do, you can make a lot of money. And especially if you can feed off the same customer. So when I meet a customer, say they call me for a land clearing project, and it ends up being, let's just say it's a small one. It's $4,500 clearing project behind their home. They just want to expand what they already have. I show up. I notice their septic system might have a hole blown out of it. This happened the other day. At the header pipe, the hole's blown out. Where there's a hole blown out where the drain field meets the header. Well, after further inspection, I was like, hey, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but your drain field's shot. It's all root bound. It's not working. You're dumping raw sewage right here. Well, that just turned into a septic job, and we're licensed septic contractors. We own a septic company called CCM Septic Service with my buddy David McKee, who I met through basically all this types of stuff that I'm doing. You make a lot of friends in this business, and that's how we met. But hey, that turned into a $15,000 project just for the septic. We got septic replacement, $15,000, and then we have the small clearing project, and then they want a driveway, so we build them a driveway, and then they maybe want some topsoil and hydro seed. Now, I haven't sold these particular customers, but I've seen where a small little $3,500 lead turns into a $40,000 project, and that's the only way you're going to be able to expand in a market that may not have a whole lot of customers. I think I can't remember the total. There can't be more than like 10,000 residents in my county. Now we have a lot of people that vacation here because we are on the beach, and most of my customers are from out of the county, and out of state really. But if you're in a small place, doesn't mean you can't make money. You just have to sell more to your customer, and you have to be more well-rounded.
Yeah, and I don't care if you're in a small place or not. The hardest part about being in a service-based business, the hardest part is getting on the people's property.
Yep.
Because you've got to make the contact. You've got to have enough trust that they invite you to come give them. That's the hardest part of service-based work, getting on the property.
Sure.
So if you're not willing to look around and find other opportunities, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. I preach that as much as you do.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Don't be afraid to expand out. Like I said, my goal is to build homes. I didn't come into this thinking I was, plan on staying a land contractor for the rest of my career. Although I think it's probably the hardest thing to master and learn. Because at the end of the day, if you're a general contractor, you can sub out most of this work. But I tell you what, the only one that I really see that has the most variables is in our industry. In our industry, you can't break it down to a per square foot cost like a framer can, or a plumber, or whatever, where they can look at a set of plans like, oh yeah, this is good. I'd say the hardest part about this business is doing takeoffs and looking at a set of plans and figuring out what to charge, and realizing that you're digging in the ground. You don't know what you're going to find.
Yeah.
You have no clue. It's just like prospecting. I mean, you just don't know what you're going to find. And I've found all kinds of things. I've found buried homes. I've found buried cars. I've found buried swamps where the soil, the moisture content's through the roof. There's way too much vegetation and it doesn't compact. We've had to dig all that stuff and replace it. Seemingly small projects turn into massive projects. And you just don't know, and when you talk to a framer, they don't get it, because the framer is looking at these plans. Oh yeah, I'm X amount of dollars per square foot, no matter what home we're building. They don't care, and not saying that anything bad about a framer is, of course.
It's the same 2x4 or 2x6, and they chalk a line and
exactly.
build a wall and go. And like the foundation prep work's done. So they're coming in on finished concrete. Yeah,
but no two lots are the same. No two lands are the same. I mean, I live in a county that's primarily considered a marsh. It's this giant marsh, and we have to worry about wetlands a lot. Like, I'd say that has become, I think, why a lot of people call me and deal with me is because the fines are so high that for messing up with wetlands, that if you hire the wrong contractor, they don't fine the contractor. They fine the homeowner. The landowner. It becomes a problem. So we've become extremely well-versed and specialized in wetland delineation. I can aerially delineate wetlands from our property appraiser's website to a rough guesstimate, but then obviously you have to go out there and fine tune it. And sometimes we still have to work with our environmental guys that we work with closely all the time to make sure that we're doing things right. And we save our customers a lot of money. I mean, I have a lot of customers that call me before they ever buy a piece of property, because that's just kind of the reputation that we built, that have me check out a piece of property before they ever buy it. And I inform them, I obviously tell them, hey, you're going to want to do your due diligence here. I'm not an environmental scientist, but I can tell you right off the bat, these are my concerns. And I can't tell you how many lots down here, they're 100% wetlands, and you're not allowed to touch them, that people buy. And I see people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on lots that they can't do anything with, or they have to spend a lot of money with DEP and wetland mitigation credits, or permitting, engineering, all kinds of stuff. And especially if you need a septic. If you need a septic and you're going to be within 75 feet of wetlands, you're talking about jumping from, let's say, a $20,000 system to a $60,000 system. Where you have to go through variance court and all these kinds of things. So I think more specialized. Well, I actually wouldn't say the more specialized. If you can be specialized and also be a jack of all at the same time, the sky's the limit on the amount of money you can make. I get people. I would say the average customer spends at least $50,000 with me, at least, and I'm talking about small residential customers. I'm not talking about these ginormous GCs. I don't like working for the GCs, because the GCs want to get in there as cheap as possible and get out, and they don't care about getting it done right. But my customers are not that way. Would they rather spend the extra money to deal with me, or give it to the GC as a 20% cut? So
yeah.
that's so I develop a relationship with
I think you'll get a kick out of this, especially since you've jumped into the septic game. But I have a friend of mine out in Oklahoma, and same problem, right? GCs, they want the cheapest septic system because they're going to build a whole neighborhood. They just want them keep the cost down. And I think the system that they all agreed on was like $7,000. And Mason's like, I'll do your $7,000 septic systems with the contingency that you give me the contact information for every homeowner that's building with you, and give me the opportunity to upsell them to the proper system on their own dime. And he goes to every guy. And while they're building a house, he's like, well, listen, you're building your dream home. And this is like, you don't have this or that. And he walks out with a check for 7-8 grand to do the system the right way instead of just doing the basic bare minimums $7,000 tank system.
Yeah.
But that was his workaround,
so,
right? Like nobody wanted to work with the GC because the systems were so cheap. He's like, fuck it. I'll do it. But I want to talk to every customer to upsell them on their own outside of your home building costs.
You'll get a kick out of this. I got my little model here. So we install a lot of aerobic systems, which if you're not familiar with an aerobic system, it's basically an aerated septic system, which allows you to reduce the drain field size. And it also makes the effluent, which is the water that comes out of the septic tank on the outlet side, cleaner. So this is a model of a Fuji Clean, was what we're certified in. But we also have a Delta unit. Now, Fuji Clean is like the top of the line septic system. I mean, you're just not going to get any better than a Fuji Clean. And you can tell there's all these little valves and all this kind of stuff in here, whereas a standard aerobic system is literally just a 3/4 inch air line going inside of a septic system and blowing air into it from an aerator. So I upsell people on this all the time. I mean, they're paying $4,000 or $5,000 more for a Fuji Clean system than they are a Delta, but it's smaller for the same amount of gallons per day treated. And the way these things work is there's all this media, these little balls in here that are right down in here in this chamber, and there's also some media over here. So what happens is bacteria grows on all this media, and then it falls to the bottom, and the water that floats up and then comes out the outlet ends up being cleaner. So it's kind of like a fish tank. You know how you ever have like if you don't put a pumice stone inside of your fish tank and it grows all that green algae all over the place. Well, you still have to clean your fish tank even if you have a pumice stone in there, but all the algae falls to the bottom.
Right.
So that's how you keep your water clean, and it allows you to break down all the bacteria that's in your septic and make it clean water coming out, so we can reduce the drain field size. And we're able to get our drain fields down to up to 56% in size by using aerobic units and the stuff that we also call it's called Presby pipe, which is a special type of drain field. So we're making what normally would be this humongous drain field and tank system into this really tight, compact system. Like, for example, we just quoted a repair. The original one was 63 feet by 26 feet in diameter. We got it down to 20 foot by 22 foot by using Presby. We reduced
impressive.
It to almost a third of the size.
And I'm assuming, being in your area and with so many people having marshland concerns, the smaller, more compact, the better.
Yeah, I mean, we jumped into septic within the last year. Like my buddy David McKee, he's been doing septic he's been doing it for about 4 years. Finally got his license, and we went into business together. You have to. I'll get my license, and as we're learning and growing in the space, but we're quickly become outrunning company. There's really one major company that's been in the air for about 30 years. And we're going head to head with these guys because we're creating these systems that fit in really tight, small places and are solving issues that would normally be solved by putting an engineered system in, which the engineering already starts at like $5-6 before you even build a system. And then you get into these expensive drip line systems with an aerobic system, chlorinators, UV light treatment. You're running $55, $60, $70, $75,000 for a system for these.
Right.
To try to fit in a small place, because we have an island off the coast of us with a bridge that goes to it, and also it's not waterlocked or anything, but it's called St. George Island. Some people have probably heard of it, but we have to have an aerobic system out there, and the lots are only usually about 50 by 100 or 50 by 150. And they're putting these humongous beach houses on them, and they want a pool on there, and they have to have septic. And trying to fit a septic system for a 5 or 6 bedroom house on a 50 by 150 lot with a pool is damn near impossible.
Yeah, you're at 7 pounds with a 5-pound bag, real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're solving these issues for our customers, and we're we're killing it. I mean, people are loving it. They're eating it up. And I tell you what, I get land clearing jobs from my septic jobs, and I get septic jobs from my land clearing jobs. So it all feeds into each other, and it's all vertical integration. And if you can do it all, you're going to make oodles of money.
You made a comment there, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this. My takeaway was you said you're going head to head. There's pretty much only one company in your area that's been doing septic for 30 years. And in less than a year and a half, you're almost going head to head with them. Was that strategic, or has it just happened to work out that way?
It happened to work out that way because, frankly, unless you work for a septic contractor, you can't become a licensed septic contractor in Florida anyways. Other states is different. You can just take a test. I know a couple of them are like that, but in Florida, you have to work under a septic contractor. That would take me forever. But the other option is you partner with a licensed septic contractor under the same LLC, and you guys can work together. And then after 3 years, I become eligible to go ahead and take my septic license test, and I can get my own septic license. And we can do it. We can do it again and again. I'm a firm believer in partnerships. It's the same way with your GC license, same thing with underground utilities licenses, all the same with all that. Find a group of friends and colleagues that you can trust and you enjoy and that are driving you every single day, and partner up with them, create an LLC, share your guys' your experiences. Like, we have a friend that has his underground utilities license. Hold on. I lost it here. Anyways, we have a friend that has his underground utility license. We have a friend that uses septic license. I qualified for my GC here. I've been so busy I can't take the test, but my friends are getting all the paperwork together so I can go ahead and take it so they can go ahead and get their GC license. And I would say within the next 2 or 3 years, we're going to be building houses. And, my goal is I love my customers to death. I really do. But working for customers, GCs, anybody, if you're working for anybody, it's going to be stressful. Our goal is we want to buy the land, use our materials, our equipment, build the house, sell the house. And if we can't sell the house, we're going to vacation rental that house, and we're going to make money until it can sell. And we just want to build this massive portfolio of real estate that will passively make income. I mean, if you don't want to work for the rest of your life, you got to build passive income, and that's the only way to make it these days. And
I think a better term.
I'm a firm believer of that. I got a bunch of rentals.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that
go ahead.
Passive income is starting to get a bad taste in people's mouths because it's being all over the internet. Like, oh, you need to earn Listen, nothing's passive, right? It's low maintenance income.
Low maintenance income.
I
agree with that.
You still got to work. Like you just can't put it away unless you've got oil under your ground that you're just getting a check in the mailbox for. Nothing's passive. Well,
I'm probably not the best person to give advice on this, but if you, what's the word for it? If you farm the work out to other people to do the work for you, you could get it done. So like real estate, like let's say you got a bunch of rentals, right? You can hire a vacation or rental management company, whatever, and they can do it. It's very low maintenance. And then if you have any maintenance issues with it, they deal with the maintenance. They got a maintenance guy, they just bill you whatever.
Yeah, the bigger the portfolio you get, the more layers you can put in so that
you don't want to dump more money into it.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, and you don't have to make as much profit off each one. If you make I was buying older mobile homes back in the day for like 10, 12 grand with the land. I'd dump like 20, 25 grand into them, and then I'd rent them out. They were renting for like $600 a month at the time. Now they're renting for $1,000 a month. And the return on investment is crazy. It's like 50% return on investment, annual return on investment. You can't. So if I have repairs in that, which I did ground up remodels from them when I did them. So I did them right. I haven't really had to touch them in the last 4 years, maybe almost 5 years since I built them. I stopped building them when I really had to dump all my money when I went all in on this. So I stopped building them. But
now they're paid off. They're generating $6-7 grand a year, and they're still worth $30,000 when you want to sell it.
Oh, well, shoot, they're worth more than that. The real estate's appreciated since I bought it. I've been offered $100 grand a piece. I'm a firm believer that you take your profits and you need to invest it into something that makes you money. Don't worry about don't go buy that. Don't go buy that watch or that car or any of that stuff. Dump it back into your business. Dump it into appreciating assets. Dump it into things that are going to make you money, or at least have a good chance of making you money. I mean, there's nothing wrong with losing money. Take the chance, or you'll lose. You either take the chance or you lose the chance. And now more than ever, if you do not take chances today, you're going to fall so far behind because inflation's going out of sight. Average household disposable income's going down. I mean, people have to make that move, or they're just going to be stuck, and it's going to be harder to get out of it. You know, I fight every single day because I know that if I don't, I will be working the rest of my life, and whether or not I want to or not. And that's the big thing. If I don't want to work, I don't have to work. That's where I want to be. I'm not there yet, but that's where I want to be. You know,
and that's literally the definition of freedom, is being able to choose when or if you want to work, where, and with who. Like, that's literally, to me, that's the definition of freedom. Sitting around on the beach is awesome for 7 days. What do you do on day 70?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And I've done that. I mean, like when my diesel part business was making me a lot of money, and I didn't have to do a whole lot of work to do what I was doing. I was a wholesaler, so I was just kind of shuffling stuff around. It wasn't a whole lot of work, and I got bored, you know. And I never felt more depressed in my life than having a good bit of money and really nothing on a day-to-day basis that was pressing that required my immediate attention. And you know, I suffered with depression when I was in the military. I think most veterans do. And it all went away when I started this business because I don't have time to be depressed. And it gives me plenty of self-worth. Like I said earlier in this interview, you know, as a man, my personal feeling is you are what you do, and you are how you treat people, and you are absolutely how you conduct yourself, you know. And I feel like, you know, you're going to earn respect by being good at what you do. And I think it's really important to have self-worth. I think that's how you gain self-worth. So, you know, at the end of the day, I think that people need to take the chance. If you're not happy with what you're doing, go do something else. Go chase your passion. Don't do it blind. You know,
and and I think the same advice can be said for guys that have been in business for 2, 5, 10, 15 years. If you're bored, vertically integrate, create something new, go learn some new skills, and find a way to integrate it into your current business so you can generate more revenue for yourself.
I would have gave up on this business a long time ago if I just didn't keep adding to it, because it gets boring. If you get bored, you're going to get depressed. You're going to get complacent, stagnant. You're going to spend your money on stuff that probably shouldn't be buying, you know. Dump that money back towards your business. Go learn something new, and you know, have an end goal, and that end goal should be way bigger than you think you'll ever attain. Gotta always have something to chase, you know, but you have to have your end goal that's way bigger than you think you'll ever attain, and then you need to just keep pushing the line every single day and getting where you're getting. Don't ever quit. You know, keep working towards it, learning as much as you can. And, you know, just make an internal punch list of what you need to do to get to where you got to get. What do I need to learn? What do I need experience in? What do I need to do? What pieces of the puzzle do I need? What equipment do I need? And just do it. I mean, if it doesn't pan out, there's certain things I don't do anymore that I used to do. I don't mess with residential trees anymore. I don't have any bucket trucks anymore. I don't, what else have I done that I don't really do much anymore?
Just the evolution of your business.
I don't mess with rentals. I don't do residential construction anymore. I mean, for the most part, like I used to do trim framing, drywall. I used to do all that kind of stuff when I first got started, you know. I just, I don't do that stuff. I honed in on what I know I can make money with, that is the path of least resistance, that I can sell to one customer and not spend a ton of time there for the most profit. That's, That's how I run my business. But we're going up. I plan on driving pylons, big concrete pylons with crane truck. And then once I have my GC, go manage subs. I can go hire that framer that's going to tell me that's per square foot price, or the drywall guys per square foot price. I mean, this stuff that I can lock down, that I can hire not just anybody to do, but there are more of a pool of people to do, because I can't find somebody to do what I do. You hire most land contractors, and they don't really know much more than how to run their machine. They might know how to spread some dirt. There's a big difference between, the guys that start out and the guys that have been in it for a while. There's a lot to learn in this business. And there's two ways to learn it. You either go work for somebody that has been doing it a long time and you pay good attention, or you go out there and you go do it and you figure it out. I'd say the way I did it was a lot harder, but I never worked for anybody in this industry. I learned
it is hard. It is harder to go out and do it yourself, but you remember and retain a lot more of the knowledge, because those mistakes are non-forgettable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you also just make sure you bring in mentors. Like, if you're really unsure about something, there's somebody in your network, whether they own another company similar to yours, or one 5 times bigger than yours, or somebody's retired. They're happy to share knowledge with you. Like, I find that most people I meet are very happy to share knowledge. It's not until I ask them for money or something else that they're like, wait a minute, but everybody wants to share knowledge. Like, what's the point of learning it if you can't pass it along?
Sometimes I find that this business is the most cutthroat business of them all. I've been in a few businesses, and I can tell you, I don't know what it is about. It's probably construction in general.
It is.
But man, the trade secrets of this business, I wouldn't tell. I mean, for the most part, I'm an open book, but there's certain little aspects of my business I don't think I'd tell all the trade secrets of,
No, but you also wouldn't let a guy fail and like lose $100,000 on a septic system near marshland. Like, that's what I'm saying.
I get guys. Yeah, no, for sure. Like, stuff like that. But, like the guys in the industry, I have a bunch of guys that, I wouldn't say we work together, but, we talk to each other, and they'll call me and ask me advice on how to do something or whatever. And we support each other here and there. But, I get a lot of guys that call me and ask me, hey, I'm running into this project and this problem. And they ask me what they need done, especially when it comes to like soils, compaction issues, wetlands, all that kind of stuff. And I think I've saved quite a few contractors from making big environmental mistakes. That's for sure, especially customers for the most part.
Yeah.
But and realtors. I get a lot of calls from realtors too. I have a network of realtors that I help out a lot, because they don't, they list these properties and they don't know what they have. They don't really know the issues, but they're kind of liable in some respect when they go to sell these properties to other people. If they buy a wetland, and they can't build a house on it, the realtors that I do work with are, pretty thankful that I'm willing to help them, and they help me out too. They refer me, and I think building a network of people that refer you is a great thing. A network of people that you help.
It's crucial for long-term success.
Absolutely. And,
you can run a Facebook ad and make money for 30 days, but you need a network to last 30 years.
Absolutely. Speaking of Facebook, man, Facebook marketing was amazing back in the day. I used to get like 5-10 messages a day off a $20-$30 ad, now, and then it all out of, I think it was back when they turned off like tracking or something like that.
Apple did.
Yeah, Apple. It plummeted. I didn't get anything for like 6 months. If I wasn't established, I think I would have been shocked, because I think a majority of my work came in through Facebook at the time. Now, my website drives a lot of traffic. Google,
we've transitioned all of our efforts towards growing a big Facebook presence and like teaching them how to do ads on Facebook. We're now like, let's do the basics. Let's hit big singles on making sure your Google business profile is locked in. You've got some local SEO, your websites, and just like let that thing work 24/7. And because if people call you from your website or Google your business profile, they're not tire kickers.
No, they're not. I don't get a whole lot of tire kickers anymore. I
Right.
mean, I did a
But on
little bit.
Facebook, you did.
Yeah, Facebook. I don't know. What people were calling me for was very specific, and I landed a lot of jobs. I mean, just a ton of them. I tell you what, never worked for me though. Angie's leads, never,
Yeah.
ever. You want to talk about spend some money? You talk about you just get notifications that they're taking $30 to $100 out of your account for a lead that these people aren't even answering their phone, or it's for something that doesn't even. I don't know. I hope I'm not stepping on any toes with you.
No, not stepping on. Listen, Kai, I often say if I owned Angie's List, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night because it's awful.
And they make it so hard. They make it so hard to quit it. I'm telling you guys, stay away from Angie's leads.
And I think that's a telltale sign that you're working with a crappy company is when they won't let you cancel.
Yeah, and they have a hard time. They have no problem taking the money. They have no problem taking the money, even if you never even got to talk to the customer. It never worked for me. Maybe somebody else has perfected it, but I just, I think there's a lot better ways to go out about it. I tell you another thing that was really big on, and I buy a lot of any chance I get: billboards. Okay, there's a plenty of privately owned billboards that were in my county that were on the main highway, Highway 98, right on the coast, and people slept on them. On Highway 98 in specifically, I don't know if this is all places, probably not. You probably put a billboard up pretty much anywhere in a lot of the country. But here on Highway 98, you have to go get a permit from FDOT, to put a billboard up. Well, they're not issuing any more permits for Highway 98. Well, these billboards are privately owned, and they had permits on them previously and are grandfathered in where they're at. Some of them are on residential property that shouldn't have a billboard, but they're grandfathered in. I go buy the property for property value, whatever the property value was. But the billboard, people don't think it's worth any money. They don't think it's, oh yeah, it's a ratty structure, whatever. You put a little bit of work in the structure, it's no big deal. Some of these structures I haven't even touched. But just go get a vinyl wrap.
Well, I got to stop you.
Yeah.
You actually bought the property the billboards were on, and now you own the billboards.
Yeah, I own the billboards. And I bought them for next to nothing, or I did a little bit of work for them or whatever.
Holy shit,
like
Kai.
If you go ride down Highway 98 right now, you're going to see my billboards all over the place, pre-grandfathered in. It's like, I'm sure you're familiar with Lamar, right? Lamar billboards. Yeah. They got them all over the place. I haven't marketed to these guys, but I'm sure if they wanted, they'd buy these billboards from me. There's no doubt in my mind they'd buy these because you can't get any more of them. You can't make them. If you let the permit lapse and you tear that thing down, you can never get it ever again. It just does not exist. So if you go down Highway 98 into Carabel or whatever, or other parts of the county, you're going to see my billboard. And these things are massive. I mean, they're huge. And they list the things I do, my website and my phone number. And I get a lot of phone calls from them. Those billboards have paid for themselves. I don't even know the metrics of how many people have called me off these billboards, but I've had plenty of people tell me that we saw your billboard. You can't track it. It's untrackable. Yeah. But I know they work because I see them when I drive by. Even though they're mine and I do look for them, I know other people are seeing these things. If you come in from any direction into this county, you're going to see my billboard. And it's kind of a funnel, so you can't really get away from it. The billboards are a huge success. I mean, and if I ever retire and I don't want to do it anymore, or I do something else, I can always rent the billboard for tons of money. I think those billboards are renting for like $200 a month at most when I bought them, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we're good here." People don't realize how valuable advertising space is on a main highway. Now, with that, I'm not saying go out there and go pay Lamar $5,000 a month for a main highway or interstate advertising in your first couple months of business. It may pan out. I don't know, but you have to run the metrics. These billboard companies, if you have to rent, you can't buy them.
I think it's important. When you're first starting out to really focus on marketing, right? Like lead generation, connections, networking, something that you can actually track to revenue coming into your business. But you
Yep.
are going to get to a certain point in your business, whether it's 6 months, 6 years, that you really need to switch from being marketing focused to brand focused. And that to me is when the billboards, the sponsorships, a lot of other things that you do for your community become more important than the marketing, because you've already kind of built a reputation. The marketing helped you leapfrog to that. Now the branding is what makes sure that you're top of mind when they need something in your area, because you're already a recognizable name.
And that's how you attract the big fish too. You know, if you're marketing in those aspects that only big companies market in, people are going to take those bigger companies that are going to hire you to do stuff are going to take you more serious. I get more offers to do these massive commercial projects out of state than I ever have in the past. And then I don't go looking for them. They're organic. I don't do them because I don't leave the county. I just, I'm too busy here and I enjoy, but I have considered it. You know, I have considered going 100% complete mobile and only working on large scale commercial projects, which I enjoy. But I personally like running around to smaller jobs. Even when I say smaller job, $20,000-$30,000 job, I enjoy that, but there will be a day that I think that I would like to try more of the bigger commercial stuff. Like right now we're working with government stuff, and it's definitely a learning curve. I mean, dealing with change orders and the way that all the paperwork works and the specificity and as built and all kinds of stuff. There's so much to learn, but you're only going to get comfortable taking on those smaller things once you understand the premise of the work that you're doing for them. If you can become a master at the premise of the work that you do, learning the little itty bitty things that make the logistics and the paperwork side of it become menial. You'll learn them. But if you just jump straight into commercial work and you don't even know how to grade yet or work a transit, you're gonna lose it, man. You're probably gonna end up in a bad spot. You're probably gonna lose some money.
Absolutely.
But advertising, I completely agree with you. There's the bigger ones that cost a lot of money, like sponsorships. There's like fishing tournaments that I can sponsor. It costs like $5,000-$10,000 to sponsor them. I haven't done it yet, but I'm about to, because where else am I going to advertise? I want to attract the big fish. I want to be a guy that does the bigger projects in the area and more county work and stuff like that.
Yeah, but when you were doing $1 million a year, you would have never even thought about spending $5,000 to sponsor a fishing tournament.
No, absolutely not.
But that's some of these guys look at like, oh, he said get a billboard.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's not what he said.
Yeah, no. But let's put it this way. I think my first billboard, it's an easement, so I did about $20,000 worth of work for it. It's no brainer. I mean,
you traded work for the billboard?
I traded work for the billboard.
Every time you talk about something in your business, I fall more and more in love with you. I do.
That's cool. Yeah. All right. And then the second billboard that I bought was a vacant residential lot. It was almost near my house, actually, on the main highway. It was all overgrown. And you're going to get kick out of this one. So it was at a 1 acre parcel on a big sand ridge. And there was 2 lots next to it to the west that were completely wooded. And it was kind of blocking the billboard a little bit. I bought the acre with the billboard for, I think, $56,000. I got told I was crazy for paying. I think the ones next to it sold for like $40,000, I think. And I paid like $56,000 for it, I think. And I worked out a time payment thing. It was a balloon payment, pay on time. I made my money back on it. It worked. It's working great. Well, I got in contact with the guy that bought the 2 lots next to me, and I wanted to open my billboard up a little bit. And I said, hey man, here's the deal. And I said, what are you doing with those properties? He said, well, I'm trying to sell them. And I said, well, you'll sell them a lot better if they're clear and everybody can see what you got. Because it was a heavily wooded, all sand pine forest, really, really dense. I said, well, let me clear it, and you don't have to pay me until you sell them. So, And I said, I'm going to do it for a phenomenal price. You can't beat this. I'll do it. I'll do your 2 acres for $7,000, $7,000. Where normally we're charging about $15,000 an acre. So he said, all right, well, that sounds like a good plan to me. That's fine. So I went out there and I cleared them. And I drug my tub grinder out there, which was my first one. It was a Vermeer TG 525, big yellow monster tub grinder with a big self loader on it. I hung an American flag from that self loader when I wasn't using it. I had all the tree debris out there. I was grinding it all up. I made a show out there for because the guy didn't care how soon it got done. He needed appreciating value. He bought it for what was market value at the time. So I took my time and I made a show out there so people could see it driving by. But at the same time, I opened everything up in front of my tub grinder. Unfortunately, competition ended up burning my tub grinder to the ground on site. And that was a story on its own to get moved. That was a nightmare. I don't know if you've ever tried to move a 100,000-pound machine where the tires are completely melted off of it. But that was a mess. But it happens. I think I lost a little bit of money when it came to it, all said and done. Insurance paid some of it, but they didn't pay enough. Luckily, they paid me to haul it off. That was nice. I got some money back on it. But I opened the whole thing up, all 3 acres of it. And my billboard is just like, boom, you can't miss it when you come around the curve. It's there. It's huge. It's like 30 feet long. It's like almost 20 feet tall. It's huge. And you can see it now. The guy ends up selling his property. He bought them for $40,000 a piece. I think he sold them for $89,000 a piece. I sold the guy on, if he clears it, he'll sell it for more. And it happens like that. If you can see what you're buying,
you got to help people see.
Yep. You got to help people see.
They can't picture the vision when there's all trees everywhere.
So what happened was he sold them for $89,000 a piece. And that was way more than what people were telling me I was crazy for buying the property with the one with the billboard.
So now your property is worth $89,000. You've appreciated $30K and you got a free billboard.
Yeah. But then
you made $7,000 clearing that guy's property, and you're his best friend because you made him an extra $60,000.
Yeah. He was happy. And then guess what? Because the new market set $89,000 for those lots, my house was around the corner on the back street. It appreciated in value from him selling those 2 properties right there. And then somebody sold another lot for $130,000 that was basically identical to those. And then now the guy that bought one of the lots from him for $89,000 now has it relisted for $130,000. So my lot that I paid, I don't remember what it was. It might have been $59,000. I don't remember what it was, but all I know is I'm way on the upside and I got this billboard, and I'm going to cut. I haven't decided what I want to do with it yet, but I'm going to cut the little piece of billboard out, which is like 0.07 acres or something like that, which would make it unbuildable as per our county ordinance. But I don't care because I have a billboard on it. I don't plan on building a house on it. And then just making an easement that goes past my property into the rest of the acre, because it was like 1.07 acres or something like that. And you have to have an acre to build in our county. And then I'm going to sell the acre for hopefully 100. If I sold
still
for
own the billboard.
Yeah, and still own the billboard. So I'm a firm believer of, if you see an opportunity, take it. If it can make you money, you can never have enough advertising. And I'll tell you another advertising. And guys, take it for granted. Your trucks, your equipment, advertise on your truck and equipment. All my excavators have massive logos on the backs of them. And my 210s, my John Deere 210s, they all have massive logos on the back, and my phone number, website, land clearing, septic, all that stuff on there. All my personal pickup truck. I design all my own logos. I have a graphics guy in town. He puts vinyl graphics on all my trucks. I bought a truck at auction. I sold it to one of my workers. The deal for that was that I was to logo that truck while he was paying me off for it. So he drives around with my logos on the side of his truck all the time. I wear these shirts everywhere I go. I don't care where I go. If I go on vacation, I wear these shirts. I wear my Crooked Creek shirt, back's logoed. keep in mind, guys, if you go somewhere and you're representing your company, I'm not going to say that your tax guy's good or not good, but you can make the argument that you are on a business trip. If you take phone calls, do stuff, you can write a lot more stuff off than you think you can write off. You need a good business tax account.
I thought you were going to go a different way with that, Kai. I thought for sure you're going to be like, keep in mind, you're wearing your company logo. Don't be a jagoff.
Oh man. Well, I used to run karaoke in town, and I would wear these shirts too, and I would be a complete jagoff. So it just is what it is. I mean, if you're gonna, and here's another thing. Especially if you're in a small place, if you're doing well, you're gonna have people that are talking down on you. You're gonna have people that are beating up on you. You're gonna have people running you through the dirt. Has nothing to do with you. Don't worry about it. Keep pushing. Make sure you're doing right by people. You're taking care of your customers. You're taking care of other people. Stand your ground and just do it.
So
just get your stuff done. Focus on what you're doing and get it done.
So Kai,
don't worry about other people.
It's so much easier for people to drag you back down so they feel good about themselves than look in the mirror and realize they need to make changes to elevate themselves.
I completely agree.
And that is why people want to always talk you down if you're successful.
Absolutely. Most of the people that are talking down on you have never been customers of yours. They're not your friends. They're not anything, there's going to be, especially in business, your competitors. Just stick to the facts. Do your job. Don't worry about everybody else. That's about, as far as that goes, it's about the advice I got for you. Business is not easy. Everything about it is hard. And you just have to keep going. But I tell you what's harder: going and working for other people. Working for other people's harder, and being broke is way harder.
Yeah,
I'd rather be comfortable and work as hard as I do than be broke and working for somebody else. I promise you that. I'd rather
have to close my business down tomorrow and file for bankruptcy than to look in the mirror the rest of my life and say, what if I would have tried it?
Absolutely. I mean, you got to go out there and get it. If you do not go out there and get it, life will swallow you whole, and you'll just. I think about it often. When I want to quit, if I quit, how hard is it going to be for me to dig myself out of the mental hole that I just dug myself in from being a quitter?
It's not going to be easy.
No, it's not. It's just so much easier just to go out there and just suffer through the day. And trust me, this morning I was working on my crusher and I wanted to punch a hole through a wall. I could not figure out this VFD controller that converts my 3-phase power to produce the speed of my conveyor crusher, the conveyor for my crusher. I could not figure it out. And you know what decided to do? I went to work. And I went for somewhere where I'm going to make some money, and I figured I'll throw some more money at it later and I'll figure out how to get it going. You're going to have, in this business especially, you're going to have days that just feel like you're just not going to be able to make it through it. And I don't care what business you're in. That's going to be,
and you just got to remind yourself of the day that you had zero problems, made a ton of money, because that's the balance.
Yep. Or, do I still have money in my account? If I still got money in my account, hey, I must be doing something right.
Do I have to check my checking account balance before I go to the grocery store? No. Well, then I'm doing pretty good.
That's awesome. And it's just the same. Like, I go out to a restaurant and people, they hand me the check. I just put the card in there. I don't even look at it. And I know I'm going to go ahead and move the decimal over and double it for 20%. I know I'm going to do that. So
yeah,
I don't worry about how much money I'm spending on food. If I want to go down to the casino for a night and go gamble, I'm going to set a limit. But, if I want to go on a trip, I don't got to worry. I'm more so worried about, can I take the time off?
Yeah.
Rather than just, do I have enough money to go do?
No,
we have service issues again.
Yeah, a little bit here and there, but we get the gist of what you're saying. We're good at the moment. Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. Okay. There you are. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, your restaurant thing,
Just
I'm
a
the
little bit
same
probably
way.
delayed though.
Okay. Yeah, your restaurant thing, I'm the same way. Like, I'll hand them the credit card and they're like, well, let me get you your bill first. And I'm like, hold on. Can I dispute it? They're like, well, no. I'm like, well, then why do I need to look at it? Like, just take my card. Like, why do we got to do 3 trips back and forth to get this transaction completed? Just take the card.
The worst is when they want you to pay after, like if you order from the counter and they want you to pay after you eat. I'm like, I'm already at the counter.
Yeah, I'm like, let's just streamline this process. Let me pay you now. I can throw it in the garbage and hit the door on the way out. Ridiculous. Well, Kai, I don't know what it is, but our service is it seems to be getting worse and worse by the minute. So,
no, I think, I mean, there is no get quick rich scheme. You just got to go out there and work, you know. Got 3 bars. Yeah. Dang. Okay.
Yeah. What do they say? It's the 8-year overnight success story.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Or 30 years, whatever it ends up being when I retire, you know?
No, but I'm saying, like, people look at you now, it's like, man, he's really successful. I'm like, yeah, it took 6 years to get here. It wasn't overnight. Like,
yeah,
it's the tip of the iceberg.
And I tell you what, especially when I first got started, I worked early mornings till through dark. I mean, and I still work when I get home, and I still think about it all day. And when I'm on vacation, I still think about it. It becomes part of you. You know, if you're driven and you're motivated and you're passionate about something, you're gonna think about it all day, every day, no matter if you're time off or not. And I would argue to say that if I'm not sleeping, I'm working, because I'm thinking about business all day, every day, until the moment I lay my head down to sleep.
Well, it's working for you, man. It's working for you. You're crushing it.
Yep.
You're outside the box thinking, like the billboards and adding the other services to kind of vertically integrate and find new ways to get on people's property to offer them solutions to their problems. Partnering with other companies. You're doing a lot of great things, and I can't tell you how thankful I am for that you jumped on this and did the interview with us today. And if you're listening to this, even with the little bad recording of sound from time to time, if you fought through that, you've got a laundry list of things that you can start making notes about to improve your business. Whether you started yesterday or 15 years ago, there's a lot of stuff in here that's true no matter where you're at on the spectrum of owning a business.
Absolutely, Ryan. I appreciate having me out on the podcast, and if like Chick, I'll be doing something a little bit different,
Yeah, man, and we'll have to do episode 2 with you in on a day that you've got like an office day and we got stable internet.
Yeah, on the Wi-Fi, not in the field here.
Yeah. But I appreciate you taking time out of your work while you're in the field to make time for us and to share your story, your information, your tidbits, your mindset. Man, well, there's a will, there's a way. That's what I take away from this. If something's not working in your process, figure out a way to either use it somewhere else to make money from it or break the process, start over. If you want something, go after it. Make sure it makes sense. Do a little bit of number work on that. I love the philosophy on new equipment, old trucks. And there's just a bunch of great information that you've learned or given to us today. So again, thanks for being on the show.
Everybody needs to remember that nobody's going to do it for you. If something ain't working, you better figure out how to make it work, or it's not in my vocabulary to abandon something. I'm going to make it work until it doesn't make any sense, and I'll just pivot. You just got to pivot. Don't ever give up. Just pivot, man. Pivot. Yep.
Great advice right there, my man. Great advice. Well, listeners, if you're still with us here, we're doing another long episode. If you're struggling in business or you just are bored in business because you haven't grown and you want to find some new ways to grow your business, build it more sustainable, vertically integrate in some other areas, head over to groundbreakinggrowth.com. It is our coaching and consulting arm of Skid Steer Nation. You can see how we approach business, the philosophies that we have. If you like what you see, schedule a call. If you schedule that call, you'll speak with me directly, nobody else. And if you like what we talk about, then you can work with me directly and grow your business. We currently do 6-week sprint classes where you can sign up and go through with other people. And we also offer one-on-one options. So groundbreakinggrowth.com. Thanks.